Welcome to the Forks North Portage 2020 Annual Information Meeting, this year presented virtually. Before we begin, we acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional gathering place of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Dakota, Dene, and Oji-Cree, and the traditional homeland of the Métis people. The Forks North Portage Partnership was formed from the merging of two distinct corporations. The North Portage Development Corporation was created in 1983 to be a center of commerce, culture, and living. In 1987, the Forks Renewal Corporation was developed as a meeting place. In 1994, the two corporations merged to form the Forks North Portage Partnership to act as a catalyst, encouraging activities for people in the downtown area through public and private partnerships, revitalization strategies, and to work to ensure financial self-sufficiency. The North Portage neighborhood shall be a center of commerce, culture, and living, integrated to form a diverse downtown community through a mixture of public uses, including residential, commercial, and institutional, recreational, educational, and entertainment facilities. The Forks shall be developed as a meeting place, a special and distinct all-seasons gathering and recreational place at the junction of the Red and Assiniboine rivers through a mixed-use approach including recreational, historical and cultural, institutional, and supportive commercial uses. The Forks has been a meeting place for over 6,000 years. Indigenous peoples traded at the Forks, followed by European fur traders, Scottish settlers, railway pioneers, and tens of thousands of immigrants. Over the last 30 years, we have transformed this abandoned rail yard into the Forks, Winnipeg's foremost destination. Today, the Forks is a vibrant downtown Winnipeg public space where people usually gather for celebrations, recreation, and much like the early Indigenous peoples, to meet one another. It encompasses an interpretive park, revitalized historic and new buildings, skateboard park, historic port, and offers a host of year-round outdoor and indoor attractions. Most years, the Forks averages 4 million visitors and is Winnipeg's #1 tourist destination. This annual information meeting features an overview of the year's activities. It includes high-level overviews of programming, major initiatives, including Railside, Go to the Waterfront, Public Art, and the Common. Updates on initiatives at both the North Portage and the Forks sites, and this year's financial story. We will begin with greetings from our stakeholders. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. My name is Rick Bell, and I'm the chair of the board of the Forks North Portage Partnership. Welcome to our annual information meeting. Normally, we would be doing this in person, not this year. This has been a challenging year for so many of us, and we acknowledge the impact of the pandemic that the pandemic has taken on all aspects of our lives. So, we will share our activities for this year, including the far-reaching impact of COVID-19 on our organization. But there have also been some accomplishments to highlight, and we'll do that as well. I would like to, on behalf of the board, acknowledge the management team and the entire staff of the Forks North Portage. Their ability to be nimble, to react and pivot continuously, as so many organizations have had to do this year, means that this organization can continue on for the future. You will see a series of pre-recorded sections that will provide a year in review. We are pleased to have recorded greetings with our representatives from 3 shareholders as well. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for the invitation to speak at the Forks North Portage Partnership Annual General Meeting. Forks North Portage is a thriving partnership of federal, provincial, and municipal shareholders, and it's one of the most significant governmental partnerships for our downtown and our city. This year will mark 37 years that Forks North Portage has been a steward of Winnipeg's downtown. Most notably, of course, the redevelopment of the CN East Yards into our city's #1 tourist destination, the Forks, where the Assiniboine and Red River come together, a meeting place for well over 6,000 years. And it's a success story that keeps on growing each and every year, with many world-class features that have been added over the years, such as the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, the Odenna Celebration Circle, the world's longest and best river skating trail, Canada's largest urban skateboarding park, the Children's Museum, a world-class hotel, and so much more. There are so many attractions I'd list if we had the time. And there are so many incredible events that take place at the Forks. The Forks plays host to over 280 events each year. Sadly, many of this year's community celebrations at the Forks have been canceled, postponed, or altered as we face the COVID-19 pandemic. But with potential change on the horizon at Portage Place, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the future. I want to thank the Forks partners and staff for your diligence during this challenging time. By making these difficult decisions and adjustments, you're helping our community weather the storm. I have no doubt the Forks North Portage partnership will continue doing amazing things for Winnipeg's downtown and for our community as we move forward together. Thank you to the board and the corporation for all of your work over the years. Thank you so much. Merci and miigwech.
Bonjour, hello. It's my pleasure to be with you again to bring greetings to the 2020 Annual General Meeting as the federal stakeholder for the Forks North Portage Partnership. Located at the heart of Treaty 1 territory and the homeland of the Métis Nation, the Forks has been a gathering place for more than 6,000 years, and these past few months have further shown the important place it holds in our community. As part of our shared past, the Forks remains an important part of our future together. Thank you to Paul and all the staff at the Forks North Portage Partnership for your work over the past year. The pandemic has posed even greater challenges, and I realize how difficult it has been for all of you. Amid the insecurity, I understand that over the last few months it has felt like you are working against your mission statement, which is to be a gathering space where friends and family can meet and share time together. But all the work you put in, all the difficult decisions you had to take were intended to ensure the safety of visitors and the long-term health of this important historical site. As we head into winter, I have no doubt that the Forks will be a welcome and popular gathering place again, where visitors can safely enjoy the outdoors, whether skating on the river trail or strolling by the many paths and enjoying the artwork like Ni Mama. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you on these important projects, such as the ambitious Target Zero project, the revitalization of the North Portage neighborhood, and, of course, a vibrant downtown. Thank you to the team of the Forks North Portage Partnership for playing a vital role in the city of Winnipeg, our local economy, and in helping promote reconciliation for generations to come. Thank you, merci, miigwech.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Squires, the Minister of Municipal Relations, and I'm thrilled to be at the Forks today, a place where our two rivers converge, a place where thousands of Manitobans normally like to celebrate community, and where hundreds of tourists from all around the world love to be. Now, we know today the Forks looks a little different, as does our downtown Winnipeg, as does everywhere in our province and around the world, as people are staying at home, social distancing, and complying with public health orders to get through the pandemic. And so at your annual general meeting, it is an honor for me to say thank you to all of you, everyone on the board, all the volunteers involved with the Forks North Portage Partnership for your leadership and for your dedication to helping us transition through this pandemic, for helping us adapt and conform and comply. And while we are heading into a winter, and we know it's going to be a difficult winter for many of us as we continue to stay at home, stay safe, and comply with public health orders, we also know that hope is on the horizon. There are so many exciting things to do, and you're leading the way on many of those really exciting things. Yes, downtown looks different today, but it's going to look different a year from now as well with the leadership that you're bringing to our community. And so I just want to thank you for your dedication in helping build an amazing community. This place is an absolute testament to the resiliency of the Manitoba people, and we want to be here to celebrate community well into the future together. So on your deliberations with your annual general meeting, I just want to wish you all the best, deliver greetings from the province of Manitoba and our Premier Brian Pallister, and to wish all of you the absolute best in the future as we rebuild our economy and get back to celebrating community the way we know how to.
My name is Paul Jordan. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Forks North Portage Partnership, which is a combination of the North Portage Development Company, which will be part of this presentation and is down on Portage Avenue, and the Forks Renewal Corporation, which is right here at the Forks. It's a combination of both that were put together in 1995 as a way of sustainable revenues is really why the two organizations were put together. So, as you know, it's been an interesting year. It all started with the fact that we couldn't get on the river trail. And then COVID hit, and we have been doing the complete opposite of our mission statement. Our mission statement is to create a meeting place. We've been doing the opposite. We've been telling people to go away. And we're in that right now. We're trying to turn a site that was designed for people to be here to not to be here.
In response to COVID-19 and the public health orders, the Forks closed its doors March 18, 2020. Beginning in July, the market and common reopened, but no events were held in 2020 at Winnipeg's most popular meeting place, deeply impacting the company's operations, staffing, and finances.
Hi, I'm Sarah Stasiak. I'm the Vice President of Finance and Operations for the Forks North Portage Partnership. And in any other year, I'd be really excited to tell you about how our fiscal year ended. We were on track for it to be a banner year. We were going to be posting a profit of about $4 million. And indeed, we did post a profit of about $4 million. That's been a strategic move for the past several years to start to build up our reserves so we can reinvest in this space, do things like repair the crumbling port stairs, do things like repair the sod in the grass. We have a really expensive site here at the Forks, and so being able to build this capital reserve is really important to us. So coming out of March, all the indicators were firing. We had a great profit. We had incredible activity at the Forks last year with a record number of events and a record number of people showing up to come and visit and take in all of the amenities here. Our tenants were also seeing record sales. Things were looking really, really good. And then COVID hit, and we had to, like everybody else, we had to dial it right back. So for us, that meant recognizing what kind of revenues were going to disappear. And this place operates completely on our own revenues. We don't have operational funding from government to sustain ourselves. So we need to be earning money in order to spend money on the things that we all really love and enjoy. So those revenues absolutely stopped, and we needed to dial back our expenses and be really nimble and get a good sense of what were the things that we needed to do just to stay alive and make it through whatever this unknown situation would end up being. One thing that I want to address is that we had to reduce our workforce. And so a lot of those people who have helped us create these banner years over the past several years unfortunately had to be laid off in the midst of COVID. And that's made it a really challenging experience for everybody involved. And I just wanted to recognize that we do have a fleet of former employees who have contributed to the financial success of the Forks North Portage Partnership. So we're about just over halfway through this fiscal year, and there still are a whole lot of unknowns. One thing that we do know, or we pretty sure know, is that we'll be down about $10 million in revenue this year. So we've been working really hard, and we'll continue to be working hard over the unknowns of the next few months to try to match our expenses to revenue. And honestly, our goal, even though we had a budget of over $4 million profit this year, our goal is to break even. We want to stay alive, we want to stay afloat, we want to be here so that we can all be here and resume operations at the Forks the way that we knew and loved them just a few short months ago. We're standing out here at the Common right now, and we were incredibly fortunate to have the kind of summer that we had this year, with the weather as beautiful as it was and with our case count in Manitoba as low as it was. This place here was bumping all summer long, and that was fantastic for the sustainability of our tenants inside the market, our food tenants and our retail tenants. Their sales suffered compared to last year, but not as much as they would have if it was a freezing cold, raining, COVID-ridden summer. So we were really thankful to have that summer to be able to help mitigate some of the losses that we're starting to see now. Now we're in code red and there's 0 people around, and you know, the future is uncertain, but we're pretty confident in our approach in terms of managing our budget this year so we can come out of this and be here with you next year. For those of you who are particularly interested in the finances of the Forks North Portage Partnership, you can find our audited consolidated financial statements on our website, theforks.com.
In a pandemic summer, outdoor spaces were more important than ever. In 2020, the Forks focused on initiatives that celebrate the waterways and make use of the 14-acre site where the Red and Assiniboine rivers meet.
One of the Forks plans, one of the planks, is to create this Go to the Waterfront plan. The Go to the Waterfront plan is, when you think of it, the Forks is really Winnipeg's first riverfront access project. It's a runaway hit, and we just kind of stopped there. So the whole idea is to take the Forks plan and move up and down the rivers. Things like programming, things like actual developments, things like being connections to different neighborhoods. A perfect example is the river trail, and it is going to become very important this winter, I would think. It could be up to 10 kilometers of skating, biking, walking. The warming huts are going to pier on it. Last year we weren't able to do it because of the way the rivers froze. There was a flood going on. It froze way too high. The riverbanks collapsed. We couldn't get at it. We couldn't even build the river trail. Manitoba 150 was helping us with it, saying that they have very patiently hung in there. We're going to give them more opportunities to get their message out this winter. The river trail, over the last 30 years, we've been able to do it. There's been twice that we haven't. Last year was one of them. The other important thing is on our Go to the Waterfront plan, we've just finished what we are calling, the working title is the Taché Loop. It's a 2.5 kilometer loop. You can go through St. Boniface, right through the hospital site, along Taché, cross over on the bridges, go through Nizo-Bijing, which we used to call South Point, where we have done all kinds of things in terms of art pieces. It's a very Indigenous place. Over our bridge, which you're seeing in the background, through the National Park site, which tells all kinds of stories, and then over the Rail Esplanade again for this 2.5 kilometer loop. That has only just been finished. We're going to start to talk about it over the next few years. Things like under our Go to the Waterfront plan is our connection to Point Douglas, and we're working hard with the Exchange District Biz and others on how to connect along that waterfront through our, through things like disc golf, through just even getting the message out that people can walk there. But the most important thing is the connections. We have to build these connections so that people can even move along that waterfront. And those connections, other than the Alexander Docks, are pretty much done. The Forks is a perfect example of what happens when you start to make these kind of connections, when you start to develop the waterfront.
In 2016, the Forks launched its own bar, The Common, which has become a local favorite destination with both indoor seating and outdoor patio space. The Common always has 5 local beers on tap, celebrating how local breweries match up with international beers.
So my name's Crystal McIntosh. I look after the Common here at the Forks, the indoor and the outdoor Common. So this year especially was pretty interesting for us having this beautiful outdoor space. We definitely put lots of investment into this space last year and leading up to the summer, which this year above all was super, super helpful. I think in total we had about 350 additional seats that we added to the patio space, and it really played well with creating a safe and relaxed environment for the community. We had exceptional weather this summer, and people constantly were coming to the patio, constantly thanking our staff for maintaining this great safe space, and really felt like they had their own space to still come and be comfortable in a great setting. So that was really awesome. Interesting pivoting we had to do this summer as far as having staff available to constantly wipe tables and make sure that we were keeping people spaced out. And naturally, as Manitobans, we just want to be close to each other, and we're chatting and trying to connect with each other. So that was definitely an interesting shift this year, to make sure that we were also minding the new regulations that rolled out this summer. We have an excellent program here for our beer and our wine list curation. So for our beer list, we actually work with 2 cicerones, and a cicerone is the equivalent of a sommelier. So it's a beer expert, essentially. And for our wine list, we work with a sommelier. So the 2 ladies that we worked with this past summer for our beer list they're called the Beer Sisters, and they're out of Toronto, and they are extremely passionate about beer. They know everything about beer, and they brought in some really cool, unique products for us. What makes us unique here is that we have so many products that you can't find anywhere else in Manitoba, and in some cases all across Canada. So it was really nice to be able to work with them and have this exceptional list to roll out this summer that people were really excited about. The sommelier that we work with, he's got a very different approach than the last sommelier we had for the last couple of years. So he's really unique. His language around wine is super quirky, and you'll see his personality reflected in our current wine list. So right before things kind of went back into this semi-shutdown again, we launched 20 brand new lines that were all from his list. So hopefully when things get back up and rolling again, you can come down and enjoy some of those new wines.
The Forks has long been known as innovators, using challenges like the pandemic, a forgotten rail yard, and even waste management systems as opportunities for success. One of the strongest examples is the well-established Target Zero initiative.
Target Zero is a plan that we started in 2007. And really what Target Zero is, it's where the 2 greens meet. And the green of money and the green of the environmental responsibility. This geothermal room is a perfect example of how we're proceeding. Back in 2007, it cost us $2 million extra to convert from rooftop units and natural gas to a geothermal system. Saying that, for 10 years, we have had the benefit of not adding $200,000 to our natural gas bill. So you can see that over 10 years, and it has just happened now, the geothermal room pays for itself. The 2 greens meet in that we are now getting free heating and cooling, plus we're saving a kiloton of GHG emissions every year. So that's a huge example of how Target Zero can work for this site. Okay, so this is the geothermal room. So it is 3 components. It's the 200, 300 foot deep closed loop over its south point, which we then put under the river. It's a small well just out to the back here, and then 2 large plate radiators in the Assiniboine River. That provides all the heating and cooling. Basically, in the winter, pour the heat back into the building. In the summer, we suck the heat out of the building, store it for the next winter. That's basically how the geothermal works. We are saving a kiloton of GHG emissions by doing that. It's huge. There's 53 heat pumps in the market. We are able to control the market much better. So when you're coming in, you're feeling very comfortable in 2 old stable buildings, which this market is. We are also doing things like our BioVator. We used to spend $70,000 a year throwing stuff out. The trucks would pick it up and take it to the waste facilities. I hired a couple of university students, and 10 years ago they figured out that 80% of what we were throwing away can be composted. So we bought a composter. We are composting before the consumers get at it, everything that the tenants are producing. By doing that, what we're saving is $40,000 a year. Others are starting to pay us to treat their organic waste as well. we actually have turned a $70,000 expense into, we probably made $10 last year. So that's the whole idea. Some of the examples we have is all the site equipment you see at the Forks is running off the waste vegetable oil that the restaurants are producing. So as you are buying your hot dog or your mini donuts, you can take comfort in the fact that we're using your garbage. And things like the Zamboni, Kubotas are all running on this waste vegetable oil. So that's what Target Zero is all about. It's not just a demonstration project. It's about how the two greens meet, how we can save money operationally, we can do the right thing in terms of reducing our GHG counts, and what we're demonstrating is that there is another way of doing things. You don't have to always do things the same way, which a lot of facilities are doing. And that's exactly what this geothermal, our BioVator, and our waste oil program demonstrates.
One of the major attractions of the Forks is the physical site. Visitors can walk, bike, and skate the trails and enjoy an all-season outdoor gallery of internationally renowned public art.
My name is Claire Mackay. I'm the Executive Director of the Forks Foundation, as well as the VP of Strategic Initiatives for the Forks North Portage. So one of the amazing things that's happened even this year, in this strange year, is that public art, the pieces that we had anticipated going in this year have continued. So behind me is Education is the New Bison, which was fully funded as part of a program through the Winnipeg Foundation, their Stories of Compassion program. Education is the New Bison was created by Val Vint, a local Indigenous artist, and was opened to the public, or unveiled to the public, in April of this year. And this is one of 3 pieces that will be on our site. This one is within Nisho-Sibin, and the other 2 will be on the main Forks site. Also, the other 2 are created by Indigenous female artists as well. So even in a time that's incredibly topsy-turvy, in a time that is very unlike any other, public art still can be enjoyed, especially by people who are looking for places to be outside. The Forks Foundation board has undergone a real transformation in the last year. The shift for the board has been that it has transformed into a fundraising board versus an advisory board, and that's a real key strategic point, because in the next few years, as Railside comes on stream, public art and public spaces are going to be incredibly important as part of that development. And the foundation board needed to be poised in order to undertake a capital campaign. Obviously, that's not going to happen currently in our current climate and current conditions, as there are more pressing issues. But the foundation board will be poised and ready when it is the appropriate time to start raising funds for those public art pieces and for public spaces. Placemaking and public spaces have become even more important this year, and I think people have recognized what a value they bring to our community and to the fabric of our city. And so the Forks Foundation will be ready when the time is right to come out and ask for support. Public art really is about spurring and sparking conversation. And we were incredibly fortunate late last year to take on a loan of an international artist's piece. Forever Bicycles is 1,254 bicycles, all mounted on top of each other, created by an international artist, Ai Weiwei, who's a Chinese dissident and human rights activist. The loan was made possible through a collaboration with a bunch of different organizations, but was underwritten by Michael Nesbitt, who's a local philanthropist. We have the piece for 3 years. It's the first of its kind in our city, and hopefully opens a gateway for us to take on public art pieces from around the world as temporary installations. So it's something that we'd encourage everybody to visit. We're currently standing at Nisho-Sibin, which is part now of a bigger loop that has existed for a long time. There's about 2.5 kilometers. If you were to walk from here across the Main Street Bridge towards St. Boniface Hospital, there's a pathway behind the hospital and all along Taché. In partnership with Western Diversification, this year we were able to install 7 storytelling signs that tell you about the history of our city and of our province. It's just the beginning of what we hope will be a lot more of those pieces. They're in different languages. They're in different Indigenous languages. They're in French and English, and they tell the stories of our city and of our province. And if you walk the 2.5 kilometers, because it circles the Red and the Assiniboine rivers, you'll learn pretty much the entire history of our province, from its Indigenous roots straight through to the present day and into the future. In a year that was nothing like anything we've ever experienced before, we have been incredibly fortunate to have partners and sponsors and funders who have stepped forward and allowed us to continue to do things that bring joy and hope to the public. Everything from Canadian Heritage and their sponsorship of Canada Day Live, which was virtual this year, to Michael Nesbitt, to Canada Life and Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries. We wouldn't have been able to do any of the things we were doing in an economic climate where we've had to also make some sacrifices. We could not have done those things without their partnership. And so we're incredibly thankful to them, as well as to the public who continues to support us, for allowing us to continue to be here.
True to its mission statement, the Forks North Portage Partnerships continues to lead the renewal of development sites that bring people downtown to live, work, and play. Next, we will share updates on current projects Railside, Portage Place, and Central Park.
So we're here in the Railside development piece. If you look on both sides, there is 10 acres of old surface parking lot, which has always been since 1989, when the Forks started, a development site. We are finally getting around to it. This is where 7 developers will be building primarily residential. The Forks will be in control of the main floor, so this will be a very public place. The shareholders are coming in on our tax increment financing to build these great public spaces, the piazzas, the long linear promenade, those kind of things. The Forks will also be responsible for things like archaeology and the environmental cleanup that is going to happen in these 2 lots. For 100 years, this was the train yard. They've been dumping diesel. They've been doing all kinds of things for the last 100 years. We need to clean all that up. The developers are very excited and will be putting their own dollars into the construction of these buildings. So we're really excited about Railside. We're just putting the last details together, and we're hoping that in the spring we can get going and you'll start to see these 11 acres start to come to life. It'll take a few years, and we totally believe that anything is better than 11 acres of surface parking.
In negotiations around the sale of Portage Place, the Forks maintains that all proceeds of the sale of land and parking will be reinvested to ensure the Forks North Portage remains whole.
So we've spent the last year at Portage Place just getting ready for Starlight. Starlight has a very interesting plan for rejuvenating this whole mall and the parking. The mall owner owns the mall, saying that we're marrying with them to throw in the parkade so that the developer, there's really something here. The developer's got an interesting plan in turning this into student housing. There's 2 towers, there's 2 pads built at each end of the mall that are able to support towers. So, and then in between the 2 towers would be things like grocery stores, things like restaurants, whatever would service the 2 towers. So it really is a way of moving Portage Place along. We're hoping Starlight can move forward because it really is the answer to the downtown. So about 10 years ago, we redeveloped Central Park. It was a coalition of the Forks, a private donor, Jerry Gray, and the City of Winnipeg. And we went forward on redeveloping this place because it is such a crucial place for the City of Winnipeg and for the citizens who live around here. What is interesting is the Forks North Portage Partnership's role in all of this. And what we're doing is we're partnering with the West End Biz to keep an eye on this place, to clean it up, to secure it, all those kind of things that the West End Biz, which is very grassroots, does so well. They program the place when we're allowed to program it. They work with the City of Winnipeg on the cleanup, and they just keep eyes and ears on this place. The Knox United Church is a very important partner in all of this. Portage Place is an important partner in all of this. This is in North Portage's mandate area, so we are not only obligated to look after it, we want to look after it and give it kind of a Forks feel. What is really important is no matter what happens with the Portage Place Mall, whether Starlight buys it or not, the North Portage Development Company is not going anywhere. We are going to continue to look after this place, to be the eyes and ears in this neighborhood, and work with those grassroots organizations like the West End Biz to deliver those kind of programs.
Looking ahead to winter 2020-2021, the Forks is excited to uphold its reputation as Winnipeg's winter hub by providing opportunities for Winnipeggers to safely get outside and experience art, architecture, recreational activities, and local culture.
We're going full tilt into River Trail. The nice thing about River Trail is it's a skating surface on the two frozen rivers. It's perfect, it's outdoors. So far the rivers are cooperating. We think we're going to be back at it. We're hoping that people can come down here again and just go outside is what we're hoping for. You'll be able to skate, you'll be able to bike, you'll be seeing the warming huts, the new warming huts, you'll be seeing all kinds of interesting installations that are going on that river trail. We are also doing the Upperland Trails. Arctic Glacier is in again, and they're helping us with the Upperland Trails, which can go in the next couple of weeks, depending on how things freeze up. The Upperland Trails are very interesting. There's programming that comes with it. There's lighting that comes with it. And again, it's outdoors, so people can skate, they can bike, they can walk, they can partake in all the kinds of things that Arctic Glacier is helping us do. Particularly at night. Night comes at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so you can see the lights without having to stay up till midnight. So that's the kind of thing we're doing. We're putting a lot of energy into outdoors, and while this situation plays itself out.
Thank you for joining us for the Forks North Portage 2020 Annual Information Meeting. We hope to see you on the River Trail this winter. We would like to thank all Winnipeggers and visitors to the Forks for your ongoing support. We are proud to be your meeting place. This virtual presentation was recorded in early November 2020 and may not accurately reflect present and ever-shifting realities. Questions? Email us at info@theforks.com.